I found an interesting article in the local newspaper today, a front page headline in the Fremantle Gazette that ran Livestock Carrier on hold. It shares half the page with a cozy human interest story about art being donated to a local school. It's unclear if the editor thought that a picture of some smiling children would soften the blow of animal slaughter, or maybe that they were just deemed to be as newsworthy as an estimated 5 to 7 million sheep killed for consumption every year in Australia. Never mind the 520 to 620 million animals that die in slaughterhouses every year, so that a rich smorgasbord of animals makes it to our barbecue. Simone McGurk, Labor member for Fremantle, said that the industry needs to transition to a chilled meat trade, not only giving us control over animal welfare standards, but also creating more jobs here in WA, which all sounds very cozy and will no doubt appeal to a broad base of folks in Western Australia who have a vague affection for animals or just don't have jobs, probably due to our poorly managed mineral resource boom and bust economy, controlled by a small handful of capitalists and government ministers. Just go to the Australian Electoral Commission's website and search for the summary of donations reported by donors. You will find many big private companies like the Oz Gold Mining Group, the Packer Empire, Wesfarmers, United Petroleum, ANZ Bank, you name it, they all donate to both of the major political parties in Australia, effectively buying their influence. But McGurk's comments ignore the rivers of blood in her phrase, animal welfare, and all that it entails. Chilled at home or shipped overseas, we are still party to the deaths of 5 to 7 million sheep in Australia every year. In the end, we come to a phenomena that Slavoj Žižek has formulated. We look to objects of desire for our happiness, yet because deep down, we don't really want them. So getting what we desire is the worst possible outcome. To use a cheap illustration of my own, we are most of us like the main characters from Sex and the City. We see something we want, so we agonize until we get it. Inevitably, the thing that we wanted falls short of our expectations, and we're all left unsatisfied. Under capitalism, we expect to consume our way out of unhappiness or out of a moral problem. But global scale problems like these need more than rational actors in pursuit of their own self-interest to solve. We can't just buy our way out of the global animal slaughter, which is around 56 billion animals, which die each year, so that we can use their hides, eat their flesh, drink their milk, and eat their eggs. Even the dairy industry, vegetarians, I'm looking at you, but I get that you at least don't eat meat and maybe transitioning away from dairy. If so, good for you. It's built upon horrific exploitation and murder, exacted with a maximum of economic efficiency. Yes, your milk and cookies mean that millions of baby calves are shot in the head at birth, because, like humans, cows need to be pregnant in order to give milk. So they're artificially fertilized by random bulls as much as is biologically possible to keep their milk flowing. The depressing baby factories that cows' bodies are forced into becoming make an episode of The Handmaid's Tale look really, really tame. Which it is, for reasons that are too long to get into here. Mostly it's just because it's for bourgeois white women, almost exclusively. Once these statistics and footage of animal slaughter are seen, it's like the spectre of any systematic moral crime, and it cannot be unseen. The focus on the animal export trade is another example of how the system, media, business, and government, shift the discussion away from the trunk of the tree, limiting its gaze to the outer branches alone. The conversation is framed within limits that are deemed to be tolerable and expendable to the existing structures of power. Quite frankly, who cares about live export? It's just how the animals are moved around. 100% of those animals were going to be slaughtered anyway. The only interested parties are those who profit. Countries like Saudi Arabia, farmers, shipping companies, and the government. In 2017, around 2.8 million cattle sheep and goats were exported to the tune of $1.4 billion. So that's a lot of profit. This moral outrage from the media and the public has existed for decades. And for all the exposés on poor conditions, nothing really much changes. The previous Agriculture Minister, Barnaby Joyce, did not even pretend to care about animal welfare. Even if he did, welfare is a patriarchal con, a token designed to keep animal liberation at bay and let the profits gravy train keep on truckin'. By confining our outrage to exports, the tug of war of incremental reforms that are won and then lost again, the meat industry ensures that we never wake up to the millions of slaughterhouse murders committed every year, just because we like the taste of animal flesh. There is a solution. Eat a plant-based diet. Go vegan. It's not hard. Most of you in the Western world must have heard of Google. Until we cut off the demand for the meat industry's products, the only choice animals that happen to be chosen by humans as livestock will get is to be knocked unconscious and shot here in Australia, or shipped in overcrowded boats to have their throats cut in the Middle East. This reminds me of the kind of choices that poor people get under capitalism. But that's a topic for another day, comrades.